All right, what is going on, everyone? James Livingston here, back at it again with another review of the markets. Specifically, kind of our bigger names: SPY, Tesla, QQQ, and maybe a few others. But just generally going over the market based on what I see, what I have been seeing, and just going from there. Nothing too crazy. Just using the technical analysis to my advantage in analysis. Excuse me, and not analyzing. Wow, I'm having a stroke. Analyzing the price action. So first and foremost, we'll look at the weekly time frame. Let's actually zoom out to the monthly, as we are closing a monthly candle here. Obviously, you guys can see we've got volume from the previous month over in November, but then actually better volume here in December. Now, a smaller candle, if you will, than the other one there in November, but I will say the volume there is more important to me than anything. You can see that our MACD is still starting to push up. So the momentum generally is to the bull side, to the upside. If we go in on the weekly, we start to see a little bit of a different story. We do see, obviously, what is this? 9 straight weeks in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 straight weeks in a row of green. So obviously a very, very strong push by the bulls, breaking out of the pattern we had. Daily wise now, if we start to zoom in here, today we had some pretty decent volume for a Friday, and the bears for the most part were successful. Now when we start to zoom in, you go in on the hourly and you look closer, you can see that the bears did get a good push down, but ultimately the buyers did push that back up. With some decent volume, nothing crazy, but then the sellers did end up getting a nice push down at the end of the day. Now, it's hard to tell if, the day before the end of the month, end of the year, if people were profit taking, for any reasons. I don't know if there's any tax advantages to that. But etc. We just had a lot of selling there, but the buyers did still kind of eat that dip up. You can see on that 1 hourly candle, we got the push down, but ultimately the buyers did push it back up pretty strongly. So something worth noting there. Overall, right now, I would say we have entered into a slight bearish trend. Our hourly, 30-minute, the 4 hours even starting to slip under our 20 EMA. We'll see if the buyers can retrieve. I would say around that 476 level seems to be really key. If they can get 476 back, there's a good chance we could get a push at least back up to Thursday or yesterday's highs, 477.55. But overall, I mean, we are still in a very bullish trend on the daily. Nothing has really changed, but you can see some of these smaller time frames, 15-minute and 30-minute, are starting to shift a little bit. So something worth noting if the bears can continue to push it down. We do have to continue to create new lows for this to fully change into a bearish trend, in my opinion. So I would say the first step would be to break the low of today, 473.31. In order to get this going again. You can see we did kind of pull down and we filled this gap, or this indecency, this fair market gap right here at about, 474-ish to about 473.22. You can see we almost tapped down to the bottom on that, filled that gap, and then continued to go higher. So something worth noting, maybe it was just a gap fill followed by continuation. We'll see on Tuesday, because January 1st is Monday. Happy New Year to everyone. But that's generally what I'm seeing there on SPY. Now, QQQ is going to have a very similar story. Their charts look almost identical and follow the same trend, just as they are two ETFs with the kind of big Magnificent 7 in them. So they'll move generally the same, but yeah, similar situation weekly wise. QQQ did close out a little worse, I would say. Just the candle that we got here on the weekly was kind of a weak showing by the bulls, but today they did get a push back up at the end of the day. It did close red with some decent volume, but I do like the fact that the bulls were able to push it back up towards the end of the day, where most of that volume lied. They pushed it back up. So something worth noting, that they could push it up on Tuesday or continue it on. Again, that 4-hour 20 EMA is going to be the difference maker here for me. In this case, it'd be 410.40 or 410.50, you could even say, that we need to get back above in order to go back to the $413 highs. But similar story there on QQQ. Tesla. So Tesla did recently break out of this trend, this bull flag, if you will, on the weekly time frame. So we did get that push out. Now it looks like Tesla is getting that rejection from about, where is this, 265, which was kind of expected in my opinion. I figured anywhere up around this general area where we'd seen some top outs and some supports before, I figured that would probably be our high. So what I'm expecting from this one, I'm expecting Tesla to get a little bit of bearish activity here in the next week or so, with volume kind of dying off and getting that rejection. There just wasn't enough volume, I think, to push through that resistance just yet. Now, I don't think this is quite over, but I think a pullback could be in store, which could be a good buying opportunity. The last 2 days has just been straight meltdowns from that 265 high. Anytime you hit a resistance like this and you get a pushback like this, you know that that level is very strong and can hold, potential future gains if we do surpass it. So again, on the daily here, we are starting to touch that 20 EMA. So again, pushing down on this with some pretty strong force. I do expect us to possibly go back down to that 244 to 242 area. I would say 244 is more likely, but it could also go as far down as back under 240, and I would still consider it worth watching, as we would just be retracing and testing this trend line, and likely bouncing from that 200 EMA on the daily. So something worth watching. I think that Tesla is starting to reset a little bit, which is very healthy. We just had a nice push up, broke out of key levels, found a new resistance top, and now we're going to retrace and see if the buyers can once again give this another go and try it again. We'll see obviously next week. But overall, all time frames, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute onward, are starting to flip bearish. So I do think we will get a little bit of continuation onward. But anyways, guys, that is going to be all for me today. I wish you guys a very happy new year, and I hope this helps you guys in analyzing the stock market and getting some little clues out of it. If it did, hit that like button, comment below if you guys have any stocks you would like looked at, and I will look into that in the future videos. And of course, if you're new here and you want to support the channel, please subscribe, as I try to post as many times as I can a week, just reviewing the market. So have a good, happy new year, and I will see you guys next year.